Random House Audio presents Very Bad Men by Harry Dolan. Read for you by Erik Davies. There's a necklace in my office, a string of glass beads. It hangs over the arm of my desk lamp, and any little movement can set it swaying. The beads are a middle shade of blue, the color of an evening sky, and when the light plays over them, they look cool and bright and alive. I'll tell you where they came from. Elizabeth was wearing them the first time we kissed. It happened here in the office on a winter night, 6 stories up over Main Street in Ann Arbor. Elizabeth is a detective, and that night she'd been called out to the scene of a car accident. Crushed metal and broken glass, and other crushed and broken things. 3 fatalities, one of them a child. The kind of accident you don't want to see, the kind you hope you can forget. She saw it, and afterward she wanted to get as far away from it as she could. She came to me. I was working late and I heard the hallway door open, heard her footsteps cross the emptiness of the outer office, and then she was standing in my doorway. She's tall, and the long overcoat she wore only emphasized her height. The coat had snowflakes melting on the shoulders. It was open, and the blouse she had underneath was unbuttoned at the neck. The fingers of her right hand worried over the blue beads at her throat. That was her only movement. The rest of her stood still. I knew her well enough to know something was wrong. Her face was pale, and her hair, black and shiny as a raven's wing, fell loose around it. I got up from my desk and went to her, and her stillness as I approached made me leery of touching her. I started to lay a palm on her shoulder, then drew it back. Snow fell lazily outside my office window. We stood together for a long while, and I didn't ask her anything. I waited for her to tell me, and she did. She told me all of it, everything she had seen. The words poured out of her in a relentless stream. Her fingers on the glass beads counted off each terrible detail. When she was done, she turned her face away from me, shyly, almost awkwardly. And awkwardly I stepped back and, not knowing what else to do, offered to pour her a drink from the bottle of scotch I keep in the deep drawer of the desk. She didn't want a drink. I watched her shed her overcoat and fold it over the back of a chair, watched her close the distance between us, her eyes steady on mine. She kept them open when she kissed me. They were the same blue as the glass beads. The first kiss was slow and lingering and deliberate. We both knew what it was, an act of defiance. It's human nature. We look on death and we rebel. We want to prove to ourselves that we're alive. These thoughts passed through my mind, but I didn't have time to dwell on them. The second kiss was harder and more eager. I felt her hands move over my shoulders to the back of my neck, felt her fingers twist into my hair. She pressed herself against me, and we held on to each other, and I could feel the heat of her, the vitality, the coiled energy of her body. There's a limit to how much of this memory I intend to share, and I think we've reached it. The rest is hers and mine, and no one else's. But that's where the necklace came from, the one I keep in my office. Elizabeth left it behind that night. I'm telling you this for a reason. It has to do with motives. If you took that necklace to a jeweler, he'd say it wasn't worth anything. The beads are only glass, and they're held together by a string. And on some level, I know that's true. But I also know that if a thief tried to take those beads away from me, I'd do everything in my power to stop him. I wouldn't hesitate to kill him, if that's what it took. This story I have to tell, it's not about a necklace, but it is about the motives people have for killing one another. That's a subject I know something about. Not least because I'm an editor, and people send me stories about killers all the time. My name is David Loogan. Most of the manuscripts that come to
Sample complete. Ready to continue?